The dream and the prophecy. Obeying God's interpretation, Joseph, the Hebrew, was in a desperate situation. He had been hated and sold into slavery by his own brothers in his youth. Currently, he was imprisoned in jail in Egypt due to a false accusation. This situation shows that the power of God is not limited by the lowest material circumstances. Joseph had no political power or influence, but he had a connection with God. 2 years after interpreting the dreams of the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, Pharaoh himself, the king of Egypt, had 2 successive dreams that troubled and scared him. The first dream, the king saw 7 fat, healthy cows grazing by the Nile, but afterward, 7 ugly, thin cows emerged and swallowed the 7 fat cows. The second dream, the king saw 7 full, beautiful heads of grain growing on one stalk. Next, 7 thin, scorched heads of grain, dried out by the east wind, grew up and swallowed the 7 full heads of grain. The magicians and wise men of Egypt could not interpret the meaning of these dreams, causing Pharaoh to become even more anxious. The chief cupbearer, the one whose dream Joseph had interpreted, suddenly remembered Joseph. Joseph was immediately summoned from the prison to the king's presence. When Pharaoh asked about his ability to interpret dreams, Joseph humbly replied, "It is not in me. God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer." This emphasizes that the source of the wisdom was not his own, but the obedience and transmission of God's message. Joseph affirmed that both dreams had a single meaning, and were revealed to Pharaoh by God because the event about to happen was certain and would be quickly carried out by God. Joseph explained that the images in the dream represented the next 14-year cycle. The 7 fat cows and 7 full heads of grain symbolized 7 years of extremely abundant harvest, an unprecedented surplus throughout Egypt. The 7 thin cows and 7 scorched heads of grain symbolized 7 years of terrible famine that would completely swallow the previous abundance, devastating the land. This prophecy was not just a simple explanation, but also an important warning and an opportunity for Egypt to prepare for an impending global crisis. Action according to the prophecy. After explaining the meaning of the dreams, Joseph did not stop at the prophecy but proposed a specific action strategy, demonstrating exceptional wisdom and management ability, which was granted by God. Joseph offered 2 essential solution steps to prepare for the 7 years of famine ahead. Joseph advised Pharaoh to find a wise and capable man to set over the land of Egypt, in charge of the entire storage plan. This was the first and most important step, choosing the right person with competence and vision to carry out this large-scale management task. Throughout the upcoming 7 years of plenty, Joseph suggested that the government needed to collect a fifth, 20%, of all harvested produce. This food must be stored in granaries, in nearby cities where it was grown, under the king's control. This colossal amount of stored food would be kept as a treasure to be used during the 7 years of famine, so that the land may not perish through the famine. Pharaoh and his officials were completely convinced by Joseph's interpretation of the dream and his strategic plan. Pharaoh declared, "Can we find such a man as this, in whom is the Spirit of God?" The king recognized that Joseph's wisdom came from a supernatural source. Pharaoh appointed Joseph as vizier, governor, over all the land of Egypt. Joseph was given absolute authority, second only to Pharaoh. He was given the king's signet ring, a symbol of power, garments of fine linen, a symbol of status, and a gold chain. Joseph married Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, consolidating his social standing. This promotion was not only a personal reward but an official recognition so that Joseph had sufficient authority to carry out his national salvation plan. Joseph, then about 30 years old, immediately began implementing the National Economic Management Plan. Joseph went throughout the land, organizing the tax collection and storage network. He supervised the gathering and transport of the grain to the cities. Throughout the 7 years of abundance, grain was stored in amounts beyond imagination. Joseph stored up grain in great abundance, like the sand of the sea, until he stopped measuring it, for it was beyond measure. Thanks to this meticulous preparation and non-wasteful management, Egypt built up a colossal food reserve, becoming the only economic and humanitarian fortress in the region, ready to face the impending global crisis. The famine strikes and the salvation of Egypt. After 7 years of abundance, a terrible famine occurred exactly as prophesied. The famine not only devastated Egypt but also spread throughout the neighboring lands. When the people of Egypt began to feel hungry and cried out to Pharaoh, the king gave one simple and unique command: go to Joseph. Whatever he tells you to do, do it. Joseph, in his capacity as vizier, carried out the act of generosity and responsibility by opening all the granaries he had stored. He began selling food to the people of Egypt. It was thanks to this thorough preparation and the decision to open the stores that Joseph saved the lives of the entire Egyptian nation. Because the famine spread throughout all lands, Egypt became the sole source of food in the region. People from all the surrounding nations were forced to make the journey to Egypt to buy grain. Joseph's wise management did not only serve Egypt's national interest but also demonstrated comprehensive generosity. He saved thousands of people belonging to different nations from death by starvation. This is the climax of the story, where the salvation of humanity meets the personal and family salvation. Joseph's family, including his father Jacob and his 10 brothers, the ones who had sold him, were also threatened by the famine in the land of Canaan. They had to come to Egypt to buy food. Joseph recognized his brothers. After a period of testing, he revealed his identity and performed an extraordinary act of forgiveness, instead of revenge. Joseph used his power as vizier to provide food and invited the whole family to settle in the land of Goshen, one of the most fertile regions of Egypt. This generosity preserved the lineage of the people of Israel during the crisis, allowing them to grow strong and become a nation. The greatest reward for Joseph's generosity was not a title or property, but the privilege of becoming an instrument of salvation for an entire nation and, more importantly, redeeming and preserving his own family. His obedience to the prophecy and his wise management transformed him from a slave into the savior of the ancient world. The story of the 7 years of famine in Joseph provides a profound trove of lessons, not only on faith but also on management, ethics, and social responsibility. The story of Joseph redefines the meaning of resource accumulation and management. Joseph's preparation was not aimed at accumulating personal wealth or power. Although he was the overseer, the main goal was storage for the survival of the community and the nation of Egypt. The decision to collect 20% of the produce and subsequently open the granaries for sale when the famine struck was an act of national-level generosity and social responsibility. He used his position as a manager to serve the common welfare. This teaches us that true financial wisdom is not about accumulating for oneself, but about preparation so that one can support others and the community during times of crisis. Joseph received great reward, not just materially, but also in the fulfillment of his divine purpose. Joseph preserved the lives of millions of Egyptians and neighboring nations. Joseph became an instrument of God to preserve life, reflecting the image of the Messiah. Joseph's generosity and forgiveness saved the lives of the family of Israel, allowing them to settle and grow into a nation. Joseph's actions ensured that God's promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob regarding a great nation was upheld. From a slave and a prisoner, Joseph was honored with the position of vizier, highest under the king. God honors those who are obedient and faithful even in the most extreme circumstances, turning evil into good. The story of Joseph is a timeless model for dealing with uncertainty and crisis. Joseph believed in the divine revelation and acted based on absolute trust, rather than relying on his own strength or temporary emotions. Salvation came from practical action, collecting 20%, combined with leadership ability, organizing the storage system. Faith must go hand in hand with planned action. Preparation is not just self-protection, but also a means to save others when difficult times arrive. The story of Joseph teaches us about preparing for the future, practicing generosity with the resources we have, and trusting in God's guidance to overcome all challenges, thereby bringing blessings to ourselves and the community. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content.